Well, I hope you had a good time, everybody. We had I think it was a really good day and a half. Very intensive. Any questions?
What was the best part? What's the best part of the
I
trip?
don't know. I think being with King Charles. He's a wonderful guy. Got to know him very well. I knew him before, but now I know him a lot better. The artwork. I saw more paintings than any human being has ever saw, and statues. But they treated us great. They treated our country great. And that, I view that as being really respect for our country the way they did it. Because last night was beautiful. And, you had the biggest business people in the world there. That was respect for our country, yeah.
Mr. President, have you had conversations with I'm trying to start. Have you had conversations with Secretary Rubio or any of your military leaders about possible regime change in Venezuela?
No, I haven't.
You haven't had any discussions about plans or how to make it happen?
No, I haven't.
Mr. President, you mentioned in your remarks at the press conference something about Bagram and bringing it back to the U.S.
I'd like to get Bagram back.
Do you know how you plan to do that, sir?
They need a lot from us. And I'd like to get it back. It should have never been given. Bagram should have never been given the air base. That was gross incompetence to give that up. It's one of the most powerful bases in the world in terms of runway strength and length. The strength and length. You could land anything on there. You could land a planet on top of it. Can you imagine they gave it up for nothing? Just, let's leave. And it's an hour away from where they make their missiles, China.
Mr. President, it's been a month since you're meeting with Putin. Is it time to call for a ceasefire? It's been a month since you're meeting with President Putin. Is it time for a ceasefire to call?
Doesn't feel like it. But at the right time, if I have to do it, it'll be harsh.
Mr. President, I have a question about something you said earlier this week. You said,
Mr. President, regarding Antifa, what you posted, NPR, sir,
They were gone.
regarding
Are they still here?
they are?
Are they still here? Oh, good. Congratulations.
Regarding designating them a terrorist organization, when they don't have defined leadership or membership, how do you target them?
Who doesn't?
Antifa.
We're going to find out, right? We're going to see. People have been talking about it for a long time. We're going to see. Did they have anything to do with your network? Okay. But we're going to find out. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, you said earlier this week that the women who yelled at you, who were protesting when you were at Joe Stone Crab, should be in jail. Do you actually think that that is an offense that deserves jail time?
I don't know how they got in there, but certainly I thought it was very inappropriate. And they said things that were and it was a question of when you take a look at the way they acted, the way they behaved. Yeah, I think they were a threat.
You think that deserves jail?
You agree with me?
I think they're a nasty organization.
But you think they deserve
ahead.
jail?
Well, I don't know. What should Congress focus on? What are your top priorities with Congress?
We're going to finish the wars. We have a couple of them going, as you know. You look at Gaza, you look at Russia, Ukraine. We're working on that, and I'm working with Congress on. But I think we'll get it. We did do 7. We actually did more than 7, which people don't like to talk about. But I'd say that and the economy, always the economy, especially bringing down the oil further. If we get the oil down, that war ends.
Here's a subject that I don't think a lot of people talk about. I've been talking to a lot of American truck drivers in the last couple of weeks, and I'm asking them what their biggest concern is.
Right.
They tell me some of these foreign truck drivers, they come to schools here in America, Utah and California to be specific.
Right.
They get fast-tracked through the system. A lot of them don't speak English, which I know you did an EO about speaking English. But they're causing a dangerous situation on the road.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
don't
they're
like
telling me. I don't know what we can do about it.
I don't like it. I see the one, he had the accident, couldn't read a sign, didn't know what was happening. Yeah, no, I'm not in favor of that at all. Got to speak English.
Mr. President, Salam Mandani said that he would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes to New York City because of the ICC warrant.
I think that's inappropriate.
Would you intervene if that came up?
Yeah. It's inappropriate.
Mr. President, we asked GBU's viewers the questions they would like to ask of you and the Prime Minister today. The main question was, would you please swap jobs with him? And the second question behind that was really, why are we in the UK moving towards Europe when Europe is failing and America is
And there are lots of areas out there that happen to found. Look at Norway, it's the same kind of a thing. They've become so rich, and for UK or other parts of Europe to take everything, especially UK, to buy oil from Norway, and they haven't, but they don't want to do it. If they would drill in the North Sea, if they would let them, they've made it impossible for people.
Do you think it starts with energy?
It's a tremendous asset, and it's tremendously valuable. And there's a lot of oil left. They've been drilling there for a long time, but there's a lot of oil, and there's a lot of oil out there that hasn't been found yet. And with new drilling techniques, when they think a well is closed, the new drilling techniques, you can drill for another 50 years. It's crazy. It's such a valuable asset, and instead they're putting these stupid windmills all over the place. And every time you put up a windmill, it costs the country millions of dollars a year to have that horrible thing turn. It's ugly. It's bad for the environment. It kills the birds, and beyond that, it costs a fortune. And you should make money with energy. You shouldn't lose money. With windmills, you lose, including those massive solar fields. That take up all the farmland. And they're black plastic from China. You ever see what happens to a bird when the birds land? They get fried because it's hot. So you don't need a saucer. You don't need a stove. A bird lands on it, it's over. And then they say it's great for the environment. The lunatics. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, last week in the Oval Office, I asked you about if Ilhan Omar should be censored. Congress censored her. I just want to get your reaction to that.
They did censor her. Good. When did this happen?
Yesterday.
Yeah, good. I think she's terrible. I think she should be impeached. I think she's terrible. Is she originally from Somalia?
Yes, sir.
So how are they doing it? How's their government? Do they have a president? Do they have a council? Do they have anything? Do they have police? I love these people that come from a place with nothing, no anything, and then they tell us how to run our country. No, I think if she got censored, that's great. If she got impeached, that's even better. They impeached me twice for nothing, and they impeached me knowing the Republicans are on my side, so they knew it was just. But they impeached me twice. She should be impeached, and it should happen fast. What she says is out of line. Yeah, go ahead. Anybody else?
Mr. President,
Who would you like to see?
Mr. President, are you going to ask Brendan Carr to weigh in on other late-night hosts that you have said should be off the air?
Late-night host is on network television. There is a licensing. I'll give you an example. I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I got 97% negative, and yet I won easily. I won all 7 swing states, popular, I won everything. And if they're 97% against, they give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr. I think Brendan Carr is outstanding. He's a patriot. He loves our country, and he's a tough guy. So we'll have to see.
Why is that not a free speech issue?
When you think about this, 97% of the stories are opposed to me, and yet I win easily the election. It's pretty amazing when you think of it. That shows they have no credibility. Go ahead.
I was just going to agree with. I mean, could you use that same logic with news? If someone
in the old days, I remember in the old days that every 4 or 5 years, a network would reapply for its license, and the license is free. They get this valuable thing for free, and they'd reapply for a license. And if they did something wrong, well, I beat George Stephanopoulos, Slopadopoulos, I call him, George Slopadopoulos. They had to pay me $15 million for what he said. I beat CBS for much more money than that, including advertising and other things, much more money, because they totally changed the answer that Kamala gave on a question. I mean, they didn't change it. They took it out and put a different answer in. And they didn't want to go to court with that. That's a tough one to go to court with. So, no, I think that if you remember, years ago, I remember, as a kid, they would file, it was a big deal, every 4 or 5 years, and I don't know, you don't hold me exact, but it was like 4 or 5 years, they'd have to file for a license extension. I don't hear about that. The only one that I've heard even bring it up is Brendan Carr. I think Brendan Carr is doing a great job, and I think he's a great patriot.
Do you agree with Ryan about news?
What do you think about the fact that you attend an event in England, a state visit, spectacular,
Right.
and yet the Mayor of London can't be there?
Oh, I didn't want him there. I asked that he not be there. I don't want them. I think the Mayor of London, Khan, is among the worst mayors in the world. And we have some bad ones. If you look at Chicago, but I think he's the equivalent of the mayor of Chicago. I think he's done a terrible job. Crime in London is through the roof. The mayor of London, Mayor Khan, has done a terrible job. And on immigration, he's a disaster. No, I asked that he not be there. He wanted to be there, as I understand. I didn't want him. I've not liked him for a long time. I just think, I have a certain pride in London and UK. My mother was born in Scotland, as you know. And when I see Mayor Khan do a bad job, the stabbings and the dirt and the filth, it's not the same. No, I didn't want him there.
And the Prime Minister said to you, when I asked about, are we a Christian country, his answer was that he was christened. But he's quoted in newspapers.
Who was right?
The Prime Minister said, I was christened, he said today, this afternoon, as though that explained whether we were a Christian country. But he's actually been quoted as saying, 2 years ago, saying he was an atheist. He's a committed atheist. Is he the kind of guy that says something when you're there?
I think he's a very nice man. I really do. And his wife says. And, we lived for a day and a half. And, the thing I most disagree, I guess I disagree with him on two things. Immigration, which is very rough for the UK. Very rough. And energy. As I said, the North Sea, if I had that, I'd make a fortune with it. Look at Norway's accounts. Look at the cash Norway has. And they have the same thing we're talking about. I don't even know if they have as much. But that's a tremendous asset. So those two things. But
you got the feeling.
I get along with him great. I think he's a really fine person.
You got the feeling today that business is keen to invest in the UK? Because it doesn't feel like that when you live there.
Well, we made a deal with the UK, and some of those companies have made a deal with the UK, but there's always strings to the US. I help them. I help them. I want to help them. I want them to be strong as a country. I think it's important that the UK be strong. And we're so strong financially that we can get people to do other things.
Did Starmer try to talk to you about Ukraine? Did the Prime Minister talk to you about Ukraine? He indicated he did. What were his arguments for what you should do?
He was really a little bit embarrassed, and he's rightfully, that I called Europe, NATO countries, EU countries, you can call it either way because they're very similar, but that I caught them buying oil from Russia. And he said, that's not good. I appreciated that he said that. He said, that's not good. Now, how about that? We're supposed to do all this stuff, and they're buying oil from Russia. That's not good. Do you agree? That's about pretty much all we do.
Did he say that he would be open
I'd like to have to do something. But he also agrees they have to stop buying oil from Russia.
Did he say that they would also be willing to do sanctions? That he would be willing to do sanctions?
That he would do sanctions, yes. And he's not one of the culprits in terms of the oil from Russia.
Mr. President, Governor Josh Shapiro said that your administration is cherry-picking violence that is okay and violence that is not okay. What is your response to that?
It's just violence, and it's violence that you don't have to have. Look, in D.C., we took one of the most dangerous cities in the world, and you can walk down, you can take your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever you want to take, you can take them out to dinner tonight in D.C., and you're going to be safe. It's really safe. We did a great job. We're going to do the same job in Memphis, and we're going to Chicago. And I told you, the head of the Union Pacific, who's a great gentleman, a great businessman, started as a low-level railroad. He calls himself a railroader. It's a cool story. 45 years later, he's the chairman of the Union Pacific. He said, sir, you have to save Chicago. It's a great city. You can't let it go. And when he said that, I said, I don't really have time to wait a couple of months. Last weekend, they lost 11 people were murdered and 28 people were shot. That's not shot at. That means actually hit. 100 were shot at and missed. That's what I call dangerous. And Pritzker's going out and saying, we've got crime under control. Now, it went down a little bit because for 5 months ago, I put the FBI there. They've done a good job. But that's limited what they can do. What you really need is our big, strong soldiers to get them into shape. We're not letting Chicago fail. And we're going to get started in Memphis. We'll be very successful, just like we were in D.C. And we're going to have to stay in D.C. for a while because, you leave. People have a tendency to come back. Now, remember, we took 1,500 people out of there, pretty permanently out of there. We took career criminals, really bad murderers and other things. We took them out of D.C. They're not coming back. You don't take them. If they come back, you're just wasting your time. So we took them out, and they're not coming back. We brought many of them back to the country from which they came. What Biden did to our country is it's not believable. And to me, that's worse than the inflation he caused. It's worse what he did to our country by allowing 25 million people, which is the real number, to come in, many of whom should never be here, by emptying jails into our country and emptying mental institutions into our country. What Biden and his people, because I don't even think it was him, I think he didn't know what was happening, but what that radical left group of people did to our country will never be forgotten. Okay, have a good trip, everybody.
One more.
Just one
Who
last
would you like to
question.
see replace Kimmel?
Who?
Who would you like to see replace Kimmel on late night?
Well, a lot of people, anybody could replace him. The guy had no talent. Kimmel he was fired, he had no talent. He's a whack job, but he had no talent. And more importantly than talent, he had no, because a lot of people have no talent, they get ratings. But he had no ratings. His ratings were worse than Colbert, I think. They got rid of Colbert, which was a good thing to do. And look, that's something that should be talked about for licensing too. When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative on in years or something, somebody said. But when you go back and you take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have
Thank
a
you.
good flight.
Yeah.
Fly safely. You know why I say that? Because I'm on the flight.
I want to get home.
Otherwise, I wouldn't care.
Can we just have one word on how beautiful all the women looked last night? Caroline and your wife and
Well, I'm not
Catherine,
allowed to
Monarez.
say that
You
politically
are.
because it could be the end of my
Give me
career.
permission to say it.
However,
However.
I'll say it anyway. The women look beautiful. You look beautiful.
Thank
The women look really beautiful. You're right. Our superstar over here looked
You
great.
look beautiful.
That's Caroline.
Amazing too.
Has she done a good job?
Yeah,
What did
amazing.
you eat, by the way?
Everybody was great. Even the men looked beautiful. Okay, it's hard not to look beautiful in that room. That was one of the coolest rooms. That room was built for a table, but the table happened to carry 200 people. You know, it was like
What did you eat? What did you eat?
whatever the hell they served. I don't know. Whatever they served, I had.
Do you have a Diet
Time
Coke?
with Princess Kate. Did Melania enjoy her time with Princess Kate
She
today?
did. She thought she was great. I did too. I sat with her last night. Melania went with her today. She thought she was great. A very wonderful person. She went through a lot too. But hopefully that's all gone. You know, that's good. She was great. William is wonderful. I've known him from before. And I knew Charles as a prince, and I now know him as a king, and he's doing very well. Really. It was a lovely trip. And I thought the press was really nice. It was beautiful. You know, I watched this morning. I watched a little bit last night. It looks so beautiful, like from a different age, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not an age of trouble, but we're getting rid of the trouble. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
everybody. Have
Thank
a good
you so
flight.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
President. I
much.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.